when in the
fatal flaw to the business.
we had when we laid off, I can't remember, but in 2004 we had a bunch of layoffs in our industrial sector of the southwest part of Longmont. All of a sudden, our meth quality skyrocketed, and we're like, wow, what's going on? I mean, we saw from October to November of that year a huge jump in the quality of the methamphetamine. Started looking around and talking to our sources, infiltrating. Like I said, I was not this when I was working deep undercover with the meth world, and found that they had a chemist that got laid off, got hooked on methamphetamine, so he was having meth school. He was bringing 5 or 6 meth cooks in and having them tell him what he was doing. No, you should do this. Well, you should do, if you do that, and all of them, their meth they got so much better cooking meth for a period of time till they crumbled on that because they threw it. But that business plan it's a very profitable. If you could make meth. When we teach it, we teach firefighters too, and they're always looking for an angle. They're like, "How can these? Hey, there's a retirement." But if you could avoid getting into it, the profit margin's huge because you steal all your chemicals, you steal all the product that you need, or all the bulk, the Sudafed, and or you trade it to somebody that is, and so there's no overhead. Your cost is just putting it together, and it's a 1-to-1 conversion. For every gram of Sudafed you make, turns out to be just about a gram of methamphetamine.
For every gram that you make, there's a gram off your life, though, right?
Oh, very much so.
Too bad it destroys your life.
How much, there's like toxic waste, like there's, how much per?
For every pound that's produced, there's 5 to 25 pounds of toxic waste.
Oh
That's where, in Mexico, we know they are bringing in container shiploads. It's nothing but, we bring over a container shipload of Sony TVs to the United States. They are bringing in container shiploads of Sudafed, running it up in the mountains, and making this methamphetamine. And so the ecological damage that's going on in Mexico is unprecedented. We have no idea at my level just how bad the pollution is in those communities, in those regions where this is going on.
Do you see like a radon test, methamphetamine test when you're buying a house?
There is, you can, I've had people that have done that. Before I'll buy this test, I want an industrial hygienist to come in and do an examination. They can't.
But I mean, can't you just couldn't we develop a product that was like a radon test? You just leave it out?
It has to be through the swabs, because what happens is it gets in and it permeates into the floors, the ceilings, and all the porous materials. And then if it's depending on the material and the conditions in there, it off-gases at different levels, and it's really hard to figure out what, at in this room, it might be off-gassing little bits of iodine and no phosphorus. The other room might be off-gassing some base materials. It just depends on what absorbs at what time. And so there hasn't been a good test like put in fire alarms, and all of a sudden you start detecting phosphine in the room, and then it would permanently record in there or anything. Yes, sir.
All right, so let's say I just bought a house.
Mm-hmm.
My realtor didn't tell me I should call you guys, and didn't tell me about the resources to discover whether it could use as a meth lab. I've closed on the property, and the neighbor comes up to me and says, that was a meth lab 2 years ago. And meanwhile, you notice that family members aren't feeling well, and something doesn't seem right in the house. Now what do you do?
At that point, you can go to the no matter what county it is, the Department of Health for that county is keeping records. They are tasked by the state statute to keep records. If depending on the county, if they're a home, or excuse me, depending on the municipality, if they're a home rule municipality, their building inspectors will probably have a record, because the way we handle it and the recommended procedure before the meth laws got passed here a couple years ago was to use existing building codes to revoke the certificate of occupancies. We wouldn't reissue them until they could give us a certification from an industrial hygienist that they had mitigated the hazard.
What if it wasn't busted? What if it busted?
And if it wasn't busted, and then what you can do is, and I'm not endorsing any of them, but Walsh Environmental, W-A-L-S-H Environmental here in Boulder is a reputable has a reputable industrial hygienist that'll come out and do the swabs and be able to tell you if you are living in contamination.
So but you
have
own the
no
house.
recourse?
You own the house.
You lose the COA, the certificate of occupancy now what?
And
You can't live in the house you own, you still own mortgage to pay on
and
it.
it is, and then depending, insurances are very fickle as far as rental or owning rental property. I would probably get a meth writer. Just like for an expensive home you get for your jewels or guns in a home, I would get a meth. Some of the insurance companies were offering meth writers. There is a new group entering on the field or entering into the market called third-party adjusters, private party adjusters, and they are entering in and representing the property owner with the insurance companies to force the insurance companies to pay. They found some legal precedent, some case law that shows where this falls under different clauses in the insurance, where the insurance company adjuster comes in and goes, oh, not covered, you're on your own, bye, and out the door they go. This third-party adjuster says, no, you need to move to page 23 and clause 7A, and it's covered under this. And so we're dealing with one of those right now, and they don't represent us. We're just watching how they work, and they are having success getting the insurance company to move and budge from their no, we're not paying stance. But as a person, you end up getting a meth home. The consequences of living in a meth contaminated home are some of it's very carcinogenic, or they create cancer. They attack the skin, but they also attack the lungs, liver, kidneys, and those are the big ones. And they will.
Can it really be cleaned up to where you
Yes, and it just depends.
completely?
It can be, but that might be to where I've seen the most minimum. They have scraped the paint down to and collected all the dust, removed the floor, the carpet, and the ceiling.
What about
Up
like
to-
the drywall and the things?
And sometimes what they end up doing is it goes down to the floor joists, ceiling joists, and 2x4s on the walls.
It's actually embedded inside the 2x4 into the stud.
It is, and
Right,
it's
they just have to scrape the house.
I watched them take a standard 2-car unattached garage that to me could have been scraped and probably rebuilt for $35,000. I don't know.
Probably a lot less than that.
Yeah, it's in there and spent $60,000 remediating it. And it was, you're doing what? But that guy he did have a meth clause on it, but they just kept doing and doing it. It was embedded in that soft wood, and it was a mess.
So you don't know till you take off.
Yeah,
You
you
do
do
it, you get deeper in.
Yes, sir.
So here's a Miami Vice question. Couple scenarios. One, let's say you live on the block and you think something funny's going on. Call the cops, and do you need like probable cause, or do you stake them out? And
We
another
do.
question is like, yeah, the social worker that goes in the house sees some funny stuff going on. She probably could go to the cops and say. So how does that work? I mean,
You as the neighbor, you're sitting there and you're seeing all of a sudden the Addams family house move just starts right there. And so this is not right. Stop and go traffic. 2 o'clock in the morning, they're up when everybody else in the neighborhood's sleeping. You see them, they tape the house, and it was a nice open, airy house, and there's aluminum foil on the windows, all the windows. You don't see them leaving anytime during the day. You only see movement at night. You see this, weird people stopping and leaving and acting suspiciously, driving extremely erratic, leaving the home. You call the police department and talk to each neighborhood now has an officer assigned to them that they're responsible for most of our communities in community policing. You can talk to them, or each community has an anonymous drug hotline that you can go, hey, you can either leave your name, my name is Bill Smith, this phone number, I'd like to talk to you about a drug problem in my neighborhood. Then somebody will call you back and talk to you about it, and then we'll log it. And sometimes it's pieces of the puzzle. Sometimes we step on the bug over here, or the mercury over here, and we catch part of it, but it splits over here, and then it lands in your neighborhood. And it's like, we know exactly who that is now. You found him for us, and then we bring the rest of the pieces of the puzzle. It might be surveillance. It might be, hey, we've got, I'm already introduced to 3 of those guys. I go down and buy the drugs from them. Then we develop the probable cause to get in. The social workers, same thing. They go in, they're sitting there, and they're here talking in the background of meth oil. They look over and they see all these